Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. You make me sound very, I don't know, capable or something. Here we go. It's advancing now. I need to put this disclaimer into all of our presentations. So with the agency, these are my views and not necessarily those of the EPA. This slide presents our SIG membership. Jasper, myself, Michael Livlinka, and Michelle are the current membership. If you're interested in joining, you can contact either myself or Michelle, and we'll put you on the. We'll send you the calendar invites for the calls, and you can get engaged this way. And we can, if you're interested in a certain aspect of our work, we definitely could use some, say, support within development of the common interfaces and those types of things as a specialty area that you want to cover. They're typically 4 calls a month. We've changed the times on them to 4 in the afternoon in Europe. That's 10 in the morning for me and 9 in the morning for Michael Livlinka. And we also have a joint conference call with Malcolm, and Malcolm's mentioned that a number of times. That it occurs the 3rd Wednesday of the month at 5 o'clock in Central Europe. So if you're interested in participating, please let us know. Either with us or with Malcolm. Our charter, again, it's not changed over the years. It's been basically the same. We're looking to integrate or improve the integration and expand utilization of CAPE applications within the enterprise. And I think this is one of the things that COBE is really going to allow, is expanding the applications beyond just what we've typically done in the simulation realm. We've seen a couple of presentations where you're actually taking process data and using it in other ways. So that's one of the big goals of what we're wanting to do within M&T SIG, is to put the infrastructure in place to allow that to happen. Here's a summary of our what we've done this year. The COBIA has been the lion's share of our time. There have been a couple of releases to phase 2 to upgrade it. I think we're now up to the 8th maintenance release of the COBIA, and we've also been supervising, scoping, and supervising phase 3 development. What we've done there is prepare a memo to the management board that outlined what needed to be done, and then the management board actually did the contracting, and we've reviewed the work products. Interaction with the interop SIG, which is very important, I think, for both sides. And then we're dealing with the design and maintenance of the common interface specifications. These are the ones listed here: persistence parameters, the economic and currency reporting, and the manager interfaces, which is just newly added to our, newly soon to be added to our plate, coming up here from feedback from the thermosig. Will be the interfaces where we're working on. So I want to go over what went on with the flowsheet monitoring interface. We had to make a couple of minor changes, and we revised the specification. The first thing was that the flowsheet validation state changed event wasn't in the enumeration for being able to register for events. So we had to add that to the enumeration. That was just adding one line to the table of enumeration values. And then the flowsheet monitoring event sync interface, we're actually wanting to put the actual interface type that's returned for the objects that are having an event occurring to them, the actual port that's being connected, or a unit operation that's had its validation status changed, for example. A couple of other things there. So these updates are included in version 2.1.2 of the TLB PIA. And then flow sheet monitoring has been implemented in Amstrikim's COCO simulator. I'm wanting to update the EPA plugin that comes with COCO. It's written in .NET, and I was wanting to move it over to Cobia.NET once we develop those language bindings. So that's going to be hopefully this next year that I actually get that updated and get that into the get that back out into play. So next step of what we're dealing with is the Cobia project. And it's been a multi-year project, a lot of steps, a lot of things have happened within the project. And this slide here is here to kind of revive or make everyone aware of just how large of a project it is here. Starting, I think it was 2016, 2017, we started with the phase 1 work where we did the proof of concept. Last year we ended up releasing the phase 2, and it's been incorporated into a couple of packages, commercial packages, and there's other use of it out there that is, I'd definitely love to hear everybody that's using it. Let us know what you're doing with it so that we can highlight it someplace on the CO-LaN website, to make sure that just the power of this project is well known to everybody. We're now working on phase 3, and I'll have a couple of slides here on what's going on in phase 3 from the scoping standpoint, and then Jasper will make a presentation on the actual technical details of how it's being done. And then the other part of this is our phase 4 part, which is the documentation. We do have some documentation that's been developed. It's not ready for formal release. We have to do a bit of cleanup on it, and this would be an area where somebody that wants to jump in and help out, we would really appreciate some help here too. Developing this documentation and getting it online. So again, just remind you of the Cobia timeline. 2018, some early adopter versions were coming out. This goes to kind of what Malcolm was talking about with the beta testing of it. And I think I'll have a bullet point someplace in here further along that actually says that we need to work on a formal release protocol for what we're dealing with. So that came up the other day as we were pulling this presentation together. So, this current status of Cobia is we're developing maintenance releases of phase 2, and we're doing the phase 3 development. Here's a list of the current Cobia phase 2 users. It's in the Python unit operation, which you saw yesterday. KBC's multi-flash is using Cobia along with HDRI. And Shell has some internal heavy paraffin conversion models that they're using Cobia with. Active maintenance, our initial release was October last year at the AGM. In February, we released version 1.2.01. The versioning of Cobia follows along with the versioning of the Cape Open standard that it supports. So that's why we're at 1.2 on Cobia. We're currently releasing 1.2.0.8. I think that comes out as part of or in correlation with this annual general meeting. We also, whenever we make a maintenance release like this, update the symbol server that's at symbols.colan.org for debug symbols. If you're using it that way, you should be. It'll help with any debugging issues that you run into in developing Cobia. Phase 3 work packages, we divided, when we scoped this, we divided it, COBIA Phase 3, into 4 different work packages. The first one was a general marshaller or generic marshaller work package. That was kind of the underpinning to all of the other work packages. We also have a language binding, a remote computing work package, and a logging work package. Once the generic marshalling work package is completed, we'll be able to move on to and could potentially work concurrently on the other 3 work packages. So we've initiated the Phase 3 development. Again, that was through submitting the work package list to the management board and having them actually initiate contracting with Jasper to do the actual development work. And Jasper will present the threading and marshalling models that are part of the Phase 3 work in the next talk. For the Phase 3 language binding work package, we had to do some update of the code generators distributed through the COBIA software development kit. We're adapting the runtime to, this is the language binding work package, okay, to different targeted languages, support COBIA development and execution of COBIA-based applications in the target language. Of course, the deliverables will be an update to the SDK to support the targeted languages. And again, it builds upon that marshaller work package. A little bit about the languages that we're dealing with in the language bindings. We've kind of, in deciding which languages, we had 3 different points where we were trying to make sure they fit into the usages here. One was just the applicability of the programming languages to computer-aided process engineering. The second point was ease of developing and maintaining the binding. And the third point was feedback from the attendees at last year's meeting. If you remember, there was a survey sent out after last year's annual general meeting, and that fed into the choices. The 4 targets for COBIA languages bindings right now. One is the C application binary interface level, low-level native binary interfaces. This can kind of serve as some sort of basis for interoperation within Python, Fortran, and even Java. If somebody wants to look into Java. Python, we saw the presentation yesterday on the Python unit operation. Python is widely used in scientific and engineering computing circles. There's a large ecosystem of mathematical libraries that have been developed for it, and different types of packages that can be added in and used across the board there with Python. And then it's, it also looks very useful as, say, a prototyping or a scripting language. Say, if we do decide to do something with the flow sheeting, developing some kind of a Python scripting capability would be a good way to look at that. Fortran is an obvious choice. There's a lot of legacy applications that are written in Fortran and still maintained in Fortran. So language bindings to Fortran 90 will enable continued use of these libraries. And then .NET is used largely at the PME level for developing packages. It's desktop application. It's really the way Microsoft wants you to do things. Its basic languages are C# and Visual Basic, but you can support some of the other .NET languages like F# and things like that through .NET. We didn't include Java and MATLAB. Java would be a candidate for the CABI using the Java native interfaces, and we didn't feel that at this point there was a big enough demand to go that route. And then MATLAB could be accessed through C and Python bindings. So that just dropped MATLAB to a lower level candidate for having us formally develop language bindings at this point. Phase 3 work projects, or the other two work projects, remoting and the logging packages, both of these are basically marshaller applications. The remote computing work package, some of that work has been done with being able to put out of process work and different operating systems like Linux, and Jasper will go over where he stands on that. And then the logging work package, this will be intercepting calls through Cobia as they're made, so that we could actually have a more robust logging tool available. And then our anticipated 2021-22 activities is to continue maintenance of Cobia Phase 2, work on Cobia Phase 3 packages. One of our desires here is to kind of, in this distinction between the phases of Cobia, so we'll actually only have one Cobia here. We need to develop some document, which is a Cobia Phase 4 work, and then get more engaged with the interface specifications and try to get those out as version 1.2 specifications. And of course, continued work with the interop SIG, developing protocols for testing and evaluation of Cobia with them. We advise on design and certification tools and support for development of the installation packages for Cobia. Michael of Linka has been very useful in that area. That man has extensive knowledges of Microsoft Windows installer that we've really relied upon, along with the TAC library and that type of support. So that's my last slide. Any questions related to the presentation or activities?